GameCola faithful, and welcome to the GameCola Podcast. This is podcast number 122, and I am your lovely host and lovely podcast, lovely commander, lovely Joseph Martin. And I am also joined by...
Hi, I'm Anna Bryniarski. I write things sometimes. Also, social media. Yay.
Hi, I'm James Pelster, and I'm dying.
And hooray, it's the podcast, and you know what happened recently? James didn't die, so we're happy about that.
Yay.
But also, E3 happened, and if you want to know great E3 news, we're going to try not to saturate the podcast with E3 stuff, because it has been a while, but since the show, and you've probably heard a lot about it. But if you are still interested, you should go into GameCola.net, our actual internet website, and we've got 3 really good articles that are comprehensive wrap-ups of some of the bigger conferences. But I wanted to start out with a very general, but still I'm sure very accurate overview from our staff's probably greatest E3 expert, Anna Bryniarski, who followed every conference to every detail and is now going to tell us everything that happened in E3 in a very succinct, but yet also very accurate and precise manner. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
I'm dying. Everyone was disappointed in EA, I think, still.
Everyone's always disappointed in EA. EA does nothing but cause disappointment.
That's what I thought. Okay, good. Everyone was disappointed in EA. I think a few things that, I think, like, they showed some more indie games that they're, like, publishing?
They showed 2, yes.
Yeah. And people were like, "Oh, that's cool," but everything else they were just like, "Oh, this is stupid."
Oh, they also were saying that in the new Assassin's Creed game that it's the first time you'll be able to.
That's not EA.
That's not EA.
Or no,
James.
that's ugh, God.
You're getting
Cut
ahead
that
of me.
out. My knowledge of E3 is all jumbled now.
Yeah. I mean, compared to Anna, I mean, nobody knows E3. We know nothing. So.
I'm the expert here, obviously. Okay, so, Xbox, can't remember anything that happened with Xbox.
Xbox, nothing exclusive except, the new Halo game.
Cool. Alright, Halo's coming back. Mr. Halo is coming back.
Yep. Why can't Halo crawl?
Why can't Halo crawl? I expected an answer.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a
mystery unknown to the
ages. I can't
ages.
answer a negative.
Sony, everything is lesbians.
And
that was what I got out of this.
Sony hates Fortnite.
And Sony hates Fortnite. Yes, that was not news I got from the internet. That was actually news I got from my boyfriend.
Ubisoft.
Kingdom Hearts 3 happened. Ubisoft, or was it Ubisoft? Everything was lesbians.
I don't know, but
was
Ubisoft I think Ubisoft
Sony
was the one with like a bunch
Kingdom
of post-apocalyptic like survival games.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had a bunch of post-apocalyptic. No, that might have been Microsoft as well. And then Ubisoft said that in the new Assassin's Creed game, this is the first time you're able to play as a female character. Except
and that's
they did
about
that like 3 games
time.
ago. Except
it's also not true.
Except
They already did
that
it.
was a thing.
Yeah,
You could
exactly.
play as
I
a
know.
female character in a previous game.
Yeah, no, but it's like, isn't it like you choose which one?
Yeah.
Like, couldn't you do that earlier too?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
There was like, I can't remember what game it was, but a couple
It was
titles
like
ago,
the one with
you
the
could
twins.
do the exact same thing. And they were like,
I'm
this
very
is the
confused
first
now.
time ever.
I think everyone forgot about that because until you brought it up, I definitely forgot about it.
I forgot about it too, to be honest.
I forget, I don't play Assassin's Creed, so that's also
Well,
why.
neither do I. That's just the one thing I know about it, is that they said that they did this for the first time, and I just so happen to know that isn't true.
All Kingdom Hearts 3 for Sony. I'm pretty sure that's all Sony had.
And the one guy, I think the one guy just standing, like, playing on, like, a whistle or ocarina for, like, 10 minutes.
I still don't believe that's real, but I guess it is.
I don't remember who it was. I just remember that there was, like, it was to promote the background music for one of these games.
Oh.
Like, they had the person who performed the background music. It was, like, it's kind of like a tribal sort of soundtrack to it. Like, lots of wind instruments, like, very simple wind instruments, like flutes and other stuff, and, basic drums. And they just had some guy playing a flute or, like, similar instrument for, like, 5-10 minutes or so. on the stage, and just they had like nothing going on otherwise.
Okay, so we got Bethesda and Nintendo left.
Bethesda, the new Elder Scrolls game and the new Fallout game. I saw. I know nothing about either of these things. I just didn't like Skyrim very much.
Did they talk about Fallout 76 or whatever?
They talked about Fallout 76 a lot. They did not talk about the new Elder Scrolls game. They just showed a picture.
Yeah, they showed a picture. They're like, "Here's this," and it's like, "What?" No. Fallout 76. Yeah, that's a thing, I guess.
It's in West Virginia.
It's in West Virginia. Yes, I know.
And on the internet.
It's on the internet, right? You can go to people's shelters? Question mark?
You
or
can
towns?
Everyone's on the internet at the same time, but like it's like you're grouped up into like different servers just sort of randomly. So like you're only ever playing with like a couple dozen people, but like you're all on the same like map and interacting with each other in some sense.
Yeah. No, I definitely saw Justin McElroy post about it several times. I was just like, okay, it's in West Virginia. Okay, it's in West Virginia. Cool. But West Virginia is beautiful. My aunt lives there. Anyway, not making fun of it. Nintendo is all Smash Bros.
Exclusive piece of information. Nintendo.
Smash Brothers, all Smash Brothers, and then a bunch of other games came out. But no Animal Crossing. To the chagrin of many who were making pentacles, trying to summon the Animal Crossing gods or demons, depending, trying to summon them, and it didn't work. Our labors were not, they were for naught, and that was it. My girl Zero Suit Samus is back. There are so many Smash people. There are so many of them. They're all of them.
Yep.
All of them. Daisy's coming to Smash. That's pretty cool. I like Daisy.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
Hi, I'm Daisy. That's Diana. Oh yeah, I was watching it at work, like I shouldn't be, but I did anyway because I was bored. And as soon as I went to help my coworker with something, I was just like, okay, so do you know anything, do you follow Nintendo at all? She's like, no, I don't. And I'm like, okay, I didn't really expect that to be, I didn't expect you to, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm like, it's like they just had this huge reveal about a bunch of stuff, and all she said was, well, congratulations. I was like, alright, thanks.
Congratulations. You did it, Anna. You did it. E3 happened because of you.
E3.
Alright, yay, we finished E3.
Yay, E3. Also, I guess, did anything else happen? Are we good? We talked about Smash. The only important thing is that, Zero Suit Samus is still...
The only important thing is there's no Waluigi, and that's so tragic.
Fly.
Because when?
From here.
We'll probably talk about Smash a lot more just over the course of the podcast, just because it's such a high-profile thing. Brancliff and I were going at it about Ridley, which is also the other big thing. They added Ridley.
Oh my god, I forgot about Ridley.
You know what this means? We need to read that. We need to read more of that Smash Bros. Fanfic.
We can do a machinima.
We need to.
We need to read more of the Smash Bros. Fanfic, and then Joe can be Ridley.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah,
Ridley's here.
Again,
the end. Happy E3, everyone.
Yep.
It's 2 weeks late.
If you want us to talk anything more about any new releases that came out on E3 or just new information or anything at all, you can email us and we can talk about it on future podcasts. But I think that's enough E3 talk to get us started, unless anybody else had something that they wanted to mention.
I just want Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what they're going to do with it on the Switch. I wonder what they're going to add to it to make it a Switch, an authentic Switch game.
So let's for people who aren't familiar with Animal Crossing, which I don't know if there's anybody like that on this podcast who doesn't know something about it. They'd be very silly if they didn't know anything about Animal Crossing and say hosted a video game podcast where you talk about video games. But for those who aren't who are like that, but definitely aren't me, let's go over the sort of recent history of Animal Crossing. So like there was the Wii one, right? That was the last like console one, right?
The last console one was for the Wii. The last one that came out was
it's not exactly a console series, mind you. The first
it's
game...
like half and half.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
50-50. The first game was on... Technically, it was on N64, but that was only in Japan. The first official Animal Crossing game was on GameCube. The second one was on DS. Third one was on the Wii. And then the fourth one and the latest one is on 3DS.
The latest one is technically on the phone, but that's not great.
That's not
I'm sorry,
really...
Nintendo, but you tried, and it didn't work out well. At least not for me. I don't like it.
Well, technically, if you count Happy Home Developer as an Animal Crossing game, then technically it's the majority of the games are portable.
Technically, yeah.
I personally think Animal Crossing works better on a portable system.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So really, I think the Switch is kind of the perfect system to have this kind of game on, is because, hey, guess what? If you want to play it portable, which is kind of a really nice way to play it, here you go. If you just want to play it like a traditional or like more classic Animal Crossing game on console, there you go too.
Yeah. So
it's
what's the game like?
It's
for people who don't know.
Life simulator for kids. Kinda.
It's like it is kind of like Life Simulator is the only thing it really... Life Simulator / a fetch quest that never actually ends.
Yeah. You just fetch things for people, you pay off your house.
Yeah, you pay off your house, and then you upgrade your house, and then you pay it off again, and then rinse and repeat that, and then you also just hang out with
townspeople, who are all animals, but you're not.
Interact with your townspeople who every now and then they leave and new ones come in.
Yeah.
It's not that deep, if I'm honest. It's mostly... That's why I said it's better... I personally think it's better as a portable game, because really it's a nice game to play, but you would have a hard time playing that for more than 2 or 3 hours on end. Like, that's hard. It is very much a game where you play it for like 1 hour every day, because there's not much more to do than that every day. Because every in-game day, a bunch of stuff kind of resets and like starts over. It's like, the store restocks not every in-game day, but every real-world day. The store restocks and all of this other stuff.
Right, like one of the big appeals, or maybe not appeals necessarily, but one of the big like mechanics of it is that the time is real time. Like,
yeah, it's all happening in real time.
And the days, right? Like,
yes,
the seasons happen in real time, and
yeah, and so every real world day that passes, you get new stuff in the store, you get new stuff to buy, you get new designs that you can look at, and potentially you could have somebody new move into your town, or you could have somebody move away.
What's the fiction like for like, oh, I couldn't play Animal Crossing today? Like, in the fiction of the game, do you just like sleep in your house for an entire day?
Correct.
Yeah.
You are just asleep in your bed for an entire day. And then, like, and if you stay away for too long and you talk to your neighbors, like, if you go more than, like, a week, all of your neighbors start to get, like, worried about you.
It tells you how many days sometimes.
Yeah, like if you talk to the people after you've been absent for a certain number of days, they'll, like, say, oh, dude, where have you been? It's been, like, 2 months or something. And they'll be like, I was really worried you'd gone.
I should probably check on my phone. It's been a hot minute, and by a hot minute, I mean probably over a year.
And that one, because in the most recent one, the 3DS one, like, you're also the mayor of the town, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little
Poor
more personal
Isabel has been taking
responsibility.
care of my town for me. She doesn't get paid enough to do that. I'm sure.
So, like, in the game, like, most of the gameplay, isn't it just, like, you go, or there's, I think, a little bit of, like, collecting, like, going around to trees or fishing or something, but a lot of it is just, like, doing things for people.
Yeah, fishing, collecting fossils, collecting bugs, participating in seasonal events, and then talking to your neighbors and then being like, hey, get me an apple, and you're like, okay. So you get them an apple, and then they may or may not give you something in return. They give you something in return. But sometimes it's stuff you don't want, so you just go and sell that. But, I'm trying to think of what else. You go shopping. You can make clothes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I spent most of my time doing, making fancy stuff.
So, like, what would be, like, the really big appeal? Like, I know, like, with the Switch, right? So, like, I know that, yes, it would be portable, and it would have HD Switch graphics, as opposed to weird, pixely 3DS graphics. But, like, what would like, bringing the series to Switch mean from, like, a gameplay standpoint? Like, is there something like, yeah, with the Switch, now they can do this thing?
Honestly, I can't think of anything that would, like...
I guess there's, like, town, like, visiting and stuff like that, right? Like, that
Yeah,
was kind of a thing.
that's
on 3DS.
that's
I never
definitely
really
a
knew how
thing.
that worked. And I think with the Switch, like, if you bring it around, you could do, like, you could probably do internet connecting, or you could do local connecting with two people bring their Switches with Animal Crossing, and you can do stuff in their town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the 3DS game, they had something like you could visit somebody's town like you're in a dream, quote unquote. So you're like visiting someone you don't know at all. Like it's just some random person you visit. You can't take stuff from them, like you can if you're visiting someone you know. Like if I went and visited like your town, I could steal your stuff, and then well, not all of it, but like stuff in like stuff outside, not stuff in your house. But I could take, like, flowers and stuff and then go back and have them, I think.
Yeah, that's true. That was something, that's another reason why I think the portable versions are just kind of better for that, because it's like, you could actually go to other people's towns and stuff.
But, with the Dream Towns, you can't take anything. I feel like they could expand on that, but, that would also be really weird to just have someone random pop up in your farm and you'd be like, who? Farm?
It's not Stardew Valley.
This isn't Stardew Valley. You're a town and just be like, I'm taking your stuff. Peace out.
That's the thing, is that, like, people new to Animal Crossing, I wonder if they will be, like, comparing it to Stardew Valley if they start playing it. Because I feel like Animal Crossing isn't Animal Crossing... This is a legitimate question, because I've played neither series of games, but it has always been my understanding that Stardew Valley is a combination of Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing. Not necessarily an equal combination, but like something like that.
Yeah, it kind of is. Like, it has some similarities.
I know there's a lot of mechanics similarities in Harvest Moon. Mm-hmm. I was watching Coley stream, and she was playing Harvest Moon, and like the mining section was like, oh yes, that's very clearly like redesigned using the Harvest Moon style of mining as a basis.
Yeah. Animal Crossing.
So yeah.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. What else? Like, do you guys have anything that you were kind of like looking forward to that didn't get announced at all?
I don't know if they really discussed any about the Bowser's Inside Story remaster, but
I don't think they did at all.
Yeah, because they announced that at least a while back, like a month or two, and I have just kind of been, I mean, as I probably stated many, many times, that is my favorite game in the series, and I kind of just want to see more of it, because right now I really don't know how to feel about it necessarily. So I kind of want to find a reason to be hyped, or hopefully not a reason to be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know if they've even said when it's gonna release. I imagine they're just saving it for like the next Direct though, because it's kind of like there's probably not a whole lot to talk about it, honestly. Yeah. But yeah. What was I looking forward to?
That's a good question.
Oh, I guess I would have liked to know a little bit. Like, I wasn't really expecting this, but I would have liked to know a little bit more about also the new Pokemon game. We got a lot more info on Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which I'm glad. I am just curious as to what they're planning. And I think part of it is going to be that I think some of them, they're using Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee to test run some of the mechanics they're thinking about implementing for the main series games. Like, I don't think they're going to keep the current, the Pokemon Go catch mechanics.
I hope not.
And I can see how it's like, it's definitely like for a game series that's already been remade once, and that's also if you're not counting Yellow as a remake.
Because it wasn't. Technically, the English versions of the game were more of a remake than Yellow was. Like, compared to the Japanese release on the Game Boy, that took like 2-3 years in between just because they had so many bugs and stuff to fix. They redid all the sprites.
I just mean like, you know, there's red and blue and green, and then there's yellow, Pokemon Yellow, and then there's Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Yeah.
And then now there's Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So like we've done this a couple of times now.
Yeah.
Most people have probably played the game series at least. Most people invested in Pokemon have played the Kanto region at least twice in some capacity. So I think if you're gonna do something and mix up the catching, and it might be bad or it might just be different but not as good, I think this is a good one to do it. It's definitely like it wouldn't be a plus in a new game, but it's definitely a plus in this game.
It gives this second remake like something unique about it. Like, it's not just a remake for the sake of a remake. It's a remake for the sake of, hey, check out these different / new mechanics that we haven't ever used in a real mainstream or mainline Pokemon game. What do you think? And there were some other new features aside from the catching. Like, I don't remember what there were, but
so there was the Pokemon were in the wild grass, but like you could see them instead of just like wild battles, which I don't know, depending on how that's done, I could see preferring that. It's sort of because you can make grinding easier because you can target things. You can still make it difficult enough to make it so you can't just dodge everything because you can just put them close enough together. Like you saw at the end of Viridian Forest that they showed off, that like there were parts where it's like, yeah, even though you can see them, like you can't just avoid everything.
Yeah, because the end of Viridian Forest is just like a really long, narrow path. Yeah.
So it wouldn't like necessarily do that, but also like I feel like it would prevent like, oh, I took a step and I battled a Pokemon, and oh, I took another step and battled a Pokemon, or oh, I just ran through this whole thing of grass like that's 2 screens long and I just happened not to run into anything. So I think like testing that out would be interesting, and maybe they'll mix up like how gyms and stuff work. But I don't know, like again, like I think they might be testing out some new mechanics, and then if certain things are popular or unpopular, they will retroactively include it or not include it in the game design of the next main series Pokemon games.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to see more, a little bit more.
I wonder what they're gonna call the next mainline games anyway, because we went with metals for the longest time, or we started out with colors, then we went to metals, and then we stuck with metals for quite a while until we finally went back to colors, and then we went to letters, and then we went to celestial bodies, and now we've gone to Let's Go something. It's like, what are we gonna go to next?
I think a good fault, like if it was me and I also had to just like name, like they were like, okay, Joseph Martin, you're gonna name the next like 5 groups of Pokemon games. I think what my fallback would just be to name them after the legendary Pokemon associated with them. Like, so you could have, you could like, and because like they're already themed around that a lot of the time, right? Like if you look at the box, it's always the version with this legendary Pokemon in it, right? Like that's the cell. So like, I mean, obviously I think from a maybe even a marketing or just like a theming standpoint, it's cleaner to have those different, like you to have Black and White and Sun and Moon and X and Y and stuff like that. But I think if they ever run into a situation where they're quote unquote running out, they can just fall back on Pokemon, you know, Ho-Oh version and Lugia version, or something like that. Obviously not that, because they would make up other
Gen 2 remakes. I would love another Gen 2 remake.
I just mean that like if they make like a Gen 2 remake, they're just gonna call it like Gold and Silver again.
Ultra Heart Gold and Ultra Soul
or
Surfer.
something like that. Yeah, I just mean like they'll use. I think they could use the Pokemon names because they're since the first series, like each one has been specifically themed around a legendary Pokemon that's in the game.
I feel like that might be, yeah, definitely for marketing. It's probably not a great idea because it also means how are you gonna know how to spell it if you're like Googling it or something?
Yeah.
Because those
Yeah,
Pokemon names
could
are
be an
not
issue.
always the easiest to like search for when you only know how they sound.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like it'll just I think there won't be a pattern to it also as much as there has been. You know, like you said, like they started with colors and then gold and silver were kind of like
Those were metals.
kind of both, right? But they were also colors.
Yeah, but
like,
crystal wasn't.
Right, but then so like
that's what makes me think they were like precious like elements or precious.
Well, I think it was a transition, right? So like you could say, okay, it makes sense going from red and blue and green and yellow to gold and silver because they're all colors, and then it makes sense to go from gold and silver to crystal because those are all materials that cost a lot of money. But it would be weird to go from red, blue, and yellow to crystal.
Yeah.
And then you go from crystal to...
But you could have gone from red, blue, and you could have gone from red, blue, and green to ruby, sapphire, and emerald.
You could have. I mean, it just depended on the games that they wanted.
And you could have also.
I don't know what they came up
from gold and silver. You could have gone to diamond.
I don't know. Now that we're talking about this, I don't know what they would come up with first. Like for red, blue, and green. Very clearly, they came up with the name sort of independent of anything that went on in the games, right? Like I think the closest thing is that starter Pokemon. But gold and silver, I feel like very clearly they came up with the names gold and silver before they came up with why they were called gold and silver, right? Like I think the legendary Pokemon were sort of retroactively added to that. Because, like, Ho-Oh doesn't really say anything about gold, and Lugia doesn't really say anything about silver.
Yeah.
Like, Lugia is kind of silver, but also kind of just bluish-gray. And Ho-Oh is mostly red with some yellow on it, which you could call gold. So, that's a loose connection. And then Suicune and Crystal is like, that doesn't, like, I guess there's a gem shape on its head, but that's a loose connection.
Those weren't really... Yeah.
But then, like, Ruby, Sapphire,
it was really Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald that really started, like, making the connection. But then, Dialga and Palkia, I don't think those guys, aside from their names, like, I feel like that's actually, like, I feel like Gold, Silver, and Crystal they might have just created the legendaries, and then they just gave them arbitrary names. But I feel like with Diamond and Pearl, I feel like they definitely designed the legendaries after the names.
Yeah.
Because, like, they even kind of sell, Diamond, Dialga, Pearl, Palkia, like, they're very similar, but they're, other than their names and, like, maybe their general design, the games, there's not too much.
Yeah, because you could have called it Pokemon, like, time, space, and...
Yeah, Pokemon, well, but...
Giratina.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have. I don't know if that would have overlapped with the Mystery Dungeon games at that point, though.
Well, they came out before Mystery Dungeon was very much into its 4th gen aesthetic. I'm actually playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Sky again right now, and it's very much into that whole aesthetic. I mean, like, all of the important Pokemon, like, you've got Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf doing important things. Dialga and Palkia both make major appearances in the story. And Darkrai is also an important character, and like the dynamic between Darkrai and Cresselia is like something that's explored, and what was the other? There was one other like big thing where I was like, oh yeah, this is like just like some of the major characters feel very like, oh, let's make sure that we show this Pokemon off in this game and like see how it interacts with the world. But like Time and Darkness were made after, like, very much after Gen 4 already had an identity. So I think it wouldn't be as much interfering as Time and Darkness noticed that there was an opening left for them, and they took it. I don't think they were like, oh no, we can't name it Time because the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game is going to be named Time. I don't think that's what happened. And then, okay, so there was Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. Platinum does nothing to do with Giratina.
Yeah, no.
So that was Gen 4. Gen 5 was Black and White. That was definitely like that was planned together.
Oh
like,
yeah, those were coordinated.
That was very coordinated.
I like that actually. I kind of liked how they did that.
And then X and Y, I mean, it was weird, but again, definitely
They designed the games more after the legendaries this time.
I think they came up with the names first. They didn't happen to make a bird that looked like a Y and then thought, guys, I have a great idea.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
God, I have a great idea.
I got it backwards.
Did you notice that we made a deer that looks like an X and a bird that looks like a Y and a weird dragon thing that looks like a Z? You know what we should call the games? Okay, so that's X, Y, and then they definitely were thinking about making Z and then just didn't, because, I mean, Zygarde is just there. And
so they just decided to kind of like, hey, we never got around to making Pokemon Z, so here, just throw Zygarde, make him like relevant in Gen 7.
Yeah, because like Zygarde clearly had like other stuff that like they wanted to do with them, sort of like how Giratina had stuff that they wanted to do, and Reshiram and Zekrom had stuff that they wanted to do with them in the sequel games. Like they just put like all of Zygarde's extra stuff in Sun and Moon, which I guess, yeah, that was also I think they came up with the names first and then put the Pokemon to them. But, like, the whole, like, actual Sun and Moon motif isn't really that important except for the fact that there's time in the game. But, like, that's not a huge deal. They definitely came up with, like, an idea of, like, oh, here's two things that we can put in opposition to each other. So yeah, that's the story of Pokemon. I just noticed going through that they do definitely do the red, blue to green motif a lot, right? Like, first you've got red, blue, and green for the original games, and you've got the grass, fire, water thing. Obviously that's in all of them. But then, like, with Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, you've got blue, red, and green. With X and Y, you had the blue legendary, the red legendary, and the green legendary. I just thought that was interesting going through them.
It's interesting that Gen 1 was the only game where they focused on the starters for like the box art and the designs and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like there were no red. I mean, you had the legendary birds. Like that would have probably been the biggest candidate because you have Moltres, Articuno, and then you have Zapdos. That actually could have been what that could have been what they used for red, blue, and yellow. But then you don't have anything for green, so.
I mean, like they clearly weren't thinking very far ahead with that. They were just like naming something.
So they were designing the boxes and stuff after the starters, which is not something that they've done in any of the later games. I mean, aside from obviously the Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, but even then. Those are just remakes of Gen 1, the only generation to ever do that.
I guess that's a nice little bit of synergy.
Yeah, that is kind of nice.
Man, we sure did talk about Pokemon for a while, didn't we?
Welcome back to the GameCola Pokemon Podcast.
How you holding up, Anna? You alright?
Pokemon! I like Pokemon. I haven't played a game in a while, but I like Pokemon. What's your favorite Pokemon? Rhetorical. That wasn't a rhetorical question. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Probably Mewtwo.
It wasn't a rhetorical question.
Boo. Boo. Boo.
So I've always liked Swampert.
That's terrible too.
I think he's neat.
Swampert's pretty cool. I'm always partial to the fire type starters. I've always been partial to the fire type starters myself, but.
Same.
But if we're talking about my favorite Pokemon ever, it has to be Mewtwo, just because as a kid that I really liked the first Pokemon movie just a ton. So
that was just kind of what left the most lasting impression on me. So Mewtwo is probably my favorite Pokemon. At the very least, he's my favorite legendary.
Did I ever tell you guys that the first time I caught Mewtwo, it was in a Pokeball with full health?
You're just like alright, let's just wing it.
No, well, I've been
Or
trying
no, it knows
for
recover. It knows recover, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I've been trying to catch Mewtwo for my brain is telling me months. It was at least multiple days, and it was probably a long time. And because again, it knew recover, so you couldn't get it down to low health, and then just keep throwing balls at it. You had to. It was like a struggle to keep it down there and do it. And I had seen, you see those things where it's if you press, if you hold down and tap B really fast, that makes it more likely for you to catch the Pokemon, stuff like that.
I always, on the DS games, I always thought it was you had to spin the stylus in a clockwise direction and press X a bunch.
Right, so you hear all those sorts of rumors.
Yeah, all those rumors.
So one of the ones that I had heard was that if you throw a Pokeball with a Pokemon at full health and you hit A and up at the exact same time, at the exact right moment, it's an automatic capture. And I was like, at the time, I didn't really believe it. It was just yeah, I know this is a dumb thing, but I had been doing this for so long that
you just tried it.
I was like, I will try anything at this point. And it worked. And I every once in a while, I think in my brain, did that really happen, or is that a story my brain made up about it? But I go back and I check, and yeah, there's that Pokeball, and it's Mewtwo, and you can see on my original Fire Red game that there's a Pokeball there.
Yep, that was how I caught. That was how I caught Articuno, I think.
I killed Articuno and Zapdos the first time I played.
My sister killed Moltres, and I will never forgive her.
I ran away from Moltres when I realized it was a legendary bird, and I was like, oh no, I killed the other two ones of these. I want to catch this. And then it disappeared, and I was like, oh, well, I guess it's gone. But then I left and came back, and it came back. So I caught it. So that was the only legendary bird.
They're not supposed to.
Apparently, if you run away, they come back.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
But if you defeat them, they don't.
Yeah.
My favorite Pokemon is Emolga.
Emolga is...
followed by Fennekin.
It's a flying,
little
flying
zappy
squirrel.
rat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's cute.
Little zappy rat.
What's the game? They came out in black and white, right?
Yeah, Gen 5.
Torchic and Litten. I just really like.
I remember in black and white you could trade for an Emolga in the game, and I did that, and I got I must have rolled well on IVs too, because it just destroyed everything. I think there's one of the Elite Four in there is fighting, and I just used Emolga for all of that, and it was my strongest Pokemon by 10 levels, because it had the EXP boost too, as a traded Pokemon. And it was just oh, I just use Emolga on the fighting guy, and he's dead.
Do you guys want to hear the story of how I kind of just stopped playing Pokemon?
Sure.
Okay.
For a while. So, 3.5 years ago, I was about to beat the Pokemon champion.
Which
game? Why?
Okay.
I was so close.
I just wanted a frame of reference. That's why.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I forgot that I didn't even mention it.
No, I was making a joke because you said why, and I was making a joke because it was you asked the question why. I'm funny, I swear.
Anyway. No.
Anyway, you were fighting the Elite Four. You were fighting the Elite Four.
Mean, I'm sorry. I beat the Elite Four after a long time. I lost to her Gyarados. It was the last one she had. And this is when I still have my 2DS, I just about threw it across the room. That's how upset I was. I almost threw my 2DS across the room because I was so upset.
Yikes. Yeah, I know that feel.
And so I had to go back, and I just have not really... I have Moon. I like what I've played of it. I just can't make myself play more because I'm just so angry still. It has been 3.5 years.
Is there any of the games that you haven't played? I haven't played Black or White 2. The second ones of those. I haven't played those, but I think I've played a game out of every single set other than that.
I played Emerald, Y, and Moon. That's it. I stole Emerald from my cousin when we were younger.
My brother. So when I was like whatever age you would be when Ruby and Sapphire came out, around that age, my grandmother
It's like 2003.
got my brother and I Game Boy games, and my brother opened his first, and he got Sapphire. And the thing is that like in my family, like there's always sort of been like my stuff has been like my stuff is red, my brother's stuff is blue.
Color coordinated stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was the thing. So when my brother got the blue Pokemon game, I was like, oh, I'm going to get the red Pokemon game as the companion to this. And instead I got Bookworm. Which is this really cheap, bad puzzle game that's like a word search boggle sort of thing. And like I was trying to be a mature kid. I was trying to be like, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm like the avocado kid.
Yeah.
I was like, Bookworm. Thanks. I was like, I understand. You're my grandmother. You don't necessarily keep up with this stuff. Fair enough. But this seemed like a really easy. Like the whole blue and red thing seemed very clear to me. So then later we got Emerald. And my brother and I were supposed to share it, and
that's not how Pokemon games work.
I just took
No.
it. We were supposed to take turns playing it. I just took it.
No. That's not how that works.
Yeah, you can't share Pokemon games. They only have one save file.
Parents-
It's not possible.
Parents didn't understand. So I just took it. I don't know if he was okay with it at the time, but I've talked to him about it since, and he says like, yeah, that makes sense. I got to play Sapphire, and you didn't get to play Ruby. But I think at the time...
You got Bookworm.
I got Bookworm. So, that was a good time. My childhood was only slightly traumatic. I know my grandmother does not listen to this podcast, so it's fine. But I love you anyway, Grandma. Don't worry about it. What games have we been playing in recent times?
The Steam sale. Hey,
you've been playing the
about
Steam
that?
sale?
Yo, that's my favorite game of all time.
Can we talk about the Steam sale, please?
Ready as I
hate
be.
all of you.
Dude, the Steam sale is my favorite, but there's too many microtransactions.
Are you ready? Ready? Are you ready? Ready? Are you ready? Ready? Are you ready? Ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for a miracle?
I don't know. I don't get that reference.
Have you not seen that video? It's a good video. You should look up Are You Ready for a Miracle Steam Summer Sale. Lovely viewing, listening audience.
So
it's
good.
A very good video. Anyway, what do you want to...
Or you could also check out my article on this, how to spend your money. Sorry, anyway.
True.
How to spend all your money on video games, part 2.
So how did you spend all of your money on video games this month, Anna?
Okay, so for Christmas, from my parents, I got a $200 Visa gift card to use for gas to get to and from MagFest with my boyfriend, because we drive there. We don't fly or anything. So I had $25 left, and since I couldn't get something I wanted to get off Amazon, I was just like, I just kind of put it in my Steam wallet. I'm like, all right, this is all I'm going to spend. That was a lie that I told myself. I immediately bought too much. What I usually do, my usual routine is to go through, look at what I really think I want. If something that's pretty expensive looks pretty cheap, I'll pick it up. Paul mentioned a game a while ago that he thought I might like called Steins Gate, and I started it up, and I just decided I didn't want it right now. So I returned it immediately after like a minute of playtime. But games that I bought that I actually kept: Emily is Away 2, Silence, which is a sequel to the Delic Entertainment game that I really like. Some things I haven't gotten to play yet: Four Last Things, Planescape Torment, which is a D&D thing, I'm pretty sure.
It sounds like a D&D thing.
It is. Planescape is definitely a setting in like 2nd edition or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I returned 2 games, and I'm really glad that I can do that, because I was never going to play some of those again. But I finished Silence, and it made me upset. That's the only game that I've actually really played. But my usual routine is to check through my wish list, get games for a few people, like Cam, Coley, my sister, and then my sorority little sister, for their birthdays because they're summer babies and why not? And it's cheap. And then I decide I don't want to play anything ever again. I buy them and they sit there.
So what's Silence?
In true Steam sale. Alright, so it is a sequel to a game called The Whispered World, which came out in 2009. Silence came out 7 years later.
So they're steadily getting quieter.
It's getting quieter. So Silence is a point-and-click game that they made. It was definitely made so that you could play it for PS4 as well as like PC, and you can tell by like kind of how it doesn't have many inventory puzzles. It's more just walking around and clicking on things. That's what I associate with point and clicks being on console. Am I wrong? Or
so, what you mean?
Less inventory puzzles.
Oh, I see what you mean. So like what? Well, then what's the puzzle? Like just walking to the right place?
Well, there are still inventory puzzles, but you don't open your inventory and use everything on everything.
So how do you solve the puzzles?
You don't really have an inventory. You just pick something up, and then it either highlights where you're supposed to put it, or you go over and try to use something on something.
Okay. I think
so you don't have, like, an inventory that you open.
I see. So,
yeah.
like, you try to interact with something, and it only works correctly if you have the item that you need in your inventory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
It'll be like, alright, here's this thing, and it's like, okay. It's like, alright, figure out what to do here. But it's pretty good. There are some things that, like, weren't explained, like, what happened in these 7...
You were too quiet about it?
God damn it, Joe. There are things that weren't explained, like, what the heck happened over these 7 years between the game and this game. Which is fine. I'm not really looking for that, but like the main character from the first game is in it. And he has like a little sister now, and the whole plot. Spoiler alert: the whole plot of The Whispered World is that you are in a coma, and everything around you is not real, and you have to choose whether you're going to break this mirror and come back to the real world, or if you're just gonna stay here until you die. So that's also the plot of the second game, in which. At the beginning, a bomb blows up this bunker that the main character and his sister are in. So instead of it being like both of them are in this world that is fake, it's actually just the little sister. And spoiler alert, does anybody care?
I don't. I mean, if you care, listening audience, then you can, tune out for
sorry,
like 2 minutes.
Sorry, I'm still upset about this, and it's been almost a week since I finished it.
Okay.
You have the choice to either repair this mirror and stay in Silence, which, by the way, I don't remember them saying the name of the world in the first game, so that them just being like, alright, this is Silence. I'm like, alright, what? That doesn't make sense. Okay, whatever. You can either repair the mirror or break it.
Wait, repair meaning it's already broken, though?
There's a shard missing. There's a shard missing, so that's
you can break it more than it already is.
Yeah, you can break it more, like fully break it.
Yay, property damage.
Well, the thing is that in the first game you're like trying to save the world, even though you've been told that you're going to destroy it.
Oh.
Which makes sense because.
Oh yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
You're going to destroy it, so you can come back to the world of the living and not just stay in this fake world that you've made in your brain. But you have to find the king of the city, and it turns out there's a mirror, and surprise, it's you. You're the king. Kind of. But that's how it is in the second game as well, and your reflection is just kind of like, if you go back to the real world, your brother's dead. So you can either repair it or break the mirror. I chose to break the mirror first, and it doesn't have, like, a save when you want feature, like I've gotten used to in most of these point-and-click games. But it did let me go back and try the other option. But the first time I broke the mirror, it came back. He is dead. I was hopeful, but he's dead, and I got really upset. So I went back, did the repaired the mirror, and so the world in her brain made like a version of her brother, so they could be together. But at the end of the credits, you're back in the real world, and he opens his eyes, and I'm like, all right. I hate it.
So wait, he only dies if you don't go back. If you go back, but he doesn't die if you don't go back.
I think that's what happened. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
That's cheating. You can't do that.
That's not
Yeah, that's
fair.
cheap.
It's cheating.
But it's still a really good game. It made me angry. But that's my Steam sale experience for 2018.
James, what video games did you play recently in time?
I've had a lot of work, and I've also just been doing visual novels.
How dare you?
I just looked at the activity stuff on Steam, and it's all, like, it just says Captain Swag now owns 10 more games, and most of them
are visual novels.
Look like
yes,
the visual
that's
novels,
how I
and
spend
then
most
I
of my
see
money for the Steam store. I know I'm really contributing to GameCola here. Just don't look at what some of them are. Some of them were a gift from somebody. So somebody decided it would be a great joke. Like one of my roommates in college decided it would be a great joke to gift me the entire Nekopara series. So I have a whole I have a whole category in Steam now called "No, wait, I can explain."
No, yeah, I'm just like looking through the activity bar on my Steam.
This is the same person who last year gifted me Honey Pop.
It's not what it looks like.
Yes, exactly. That's basically
like.
what that section is for. It's titled, so when you scroll down to it in my library, it says, "No, wait, I can explain."
I'm going to
I imagine like in a computer, a file folder system, and like you click on one folder and it's like, it's not what it looks like, and you click through the folder and there's just one folder in it below it and it's titled, "It's exactly what it looks like," and then you double click it again and then it goes to the rest of the games.
But yeah, my entire activities thing is just James adding like visual novels to his favorites.
Yes, and also
which isn't a bad thing. It's funny.
The game I've been playing a ton, like I put so many friggin' hours into it so far, is on Steam, but they cut out content on the Steam version, so I'm just playing the standard one. So
what's it like?
It has the strangest main character I've ever seen.
That's weird. Usually you don't see the main character in a visual novel. Have I opened a can of worms that I shouldn't have?
No, you hurt me.
What do you mean?
That I didn't actually mean seen. Like, it's the weirdest. I figured that much should be obvious. It's like, no, I didn't actually mean seen.
I thought that they were weird and actually like
no, like they are they have the strangest personality and like writing for them. Like it's good, it's amazing, but it's just so far removed from like any of like what you'd expect of a visual novel, like the kind of just generic protagonist. It's like, no, this guy is a total badass. Oh. And he's like just the craziest guy, and like he just says whatever pops into his head, no matter how out of left field or insensitive it is. Like he just says what he thinks, and half the time I can't figure out how he thinks of these things.
Is it like one of those games where it's like you have an option of like say hello, smile, or do nothing, and like say hello is like, "What's up, you terrible person that I hate?"
No, like all of the characters, they also do some very funny lampshading. Like there's a girl who is like, she's not a tsundere, but she's pretending, she's like putting on an act to look like a tsundere, and she's really bad at it. So like you hear her like rehearsing lines, and the first thing your character does, he's just like watching from like it's a couple minutes before class is supposed to start, so he sees this one, like it's or a ways before class is supposed to start, so there's just this one girl in here, and he's just seeing her just speaking these lines out loud. First thing he does, whoosh, open the door. Is this the broadcasting club? And like the first thing the girl doesn't respond, she's just bah, because like he just slams the door open, and it's like, what? Who does that? Like, that's the kind of stuff that they pull. But no, it's got some amazing writing and fantastic characters. So it's I believe on Steam it's called The Fruit of Grisaya. I think that's what it's called. but obviously the Steam version has some cut content and other stuff that they changed around, which I'm not a huge fan of, so I just play the original version directly from the publisher. But that's not so much a video game, so...
I mean, it counts. I mean, if we didn't count visual novels, like, that would cut out a lot of content from...
That's true. Then, Danganronpa would still work, because there's gameplay there.
So, as for me, I think you heard me mention it before, I've been playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of the Sky. I was interested in, like, looking at the story of the game. The Mystery Dungeon games are very narratively intensive in a way that a lot of Pokemon games are not.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of wanted to go through it again. I've played through there's Pokemon Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky. Those are the 3 different versions. And I've played those games twice before. I don't remember which one.
Have you played any of the other games?
I've played Blue Rescue Team before. I think I played that one twice too. But I haven't played any of the ones past that. But one of the reasons is like it has been a while, and I was wondering if the quality of the story was the quality that I remembered it, because I remembered it being like pretty good, like 6 or 7 out of 10. Which is saying a lot for a Pokemon game. And so far, yeah, I've still been pretty into it. I think they do a good job of like setting things up and keeping the pace of the story sort of engaging, and like they do twists pretty well. And they do twists well because like they set up a precedent for the twist, right? So like they do like at the very beginning of the game, they do like okay, so like it's not a big spoiler that there's a character who isn't who they say they are in the game.
Yes.
That's I think like I've spoiled everything for you.
Oh.
But they think they do a good job by making it. There's a very short plot in the very early game where there's a character, Drowsy, and he's like, I'm gonna help these kids find their thing. And then, like, you immediately find out that he's actually a criminal. And so... but, like, they do, like, this really short version of the twist that's used later in the game, so that when that twist comes, it doesn't feel like it's coming completely out of left field, even if it does surprise you. I remember I forgot about the twist the second time I played the game, and I was surprised by it again the second time, because I had forgotten, because the first time I was very young when I played. But it doesn't, like, it's a balance of, oh, I didn't see that coming, but yeah, this works. This doesn't feel like a cheap, like, flip around. And I've been, like, now that I know what the twists are, I've been trying to read into it to see, like, how the game has been approaching it. And I think they do a good job of, like, keeping character motivations, like, consistent with what the twist reveal is. I've also been getting back into Pokemon Showdown, which is a mistake because it eats up
I've
all
heard
of
of
my
that,
time.
but I can't remember what it is.
It's a online browser thing where you can do competitive Pokemon battling. You can set up a team.
I could never get into I always wanted to get into competitive Pokemon, but no, it's just too much work.
I do. Well, that's the thing, right? Like in Pokemon Showdown, you don't have to like train up the IVs or anything. You just pick the Pokemon that you want to do, and you set all of their strongest.
So
well, there's also what I do a lot of the time too is you do randoms, which is where you're given a team of 6 random Pokemon with their levels sort of balanced to account for the different power levels of like legendary Pokemon, and they're like given sort of random movesets, but they're based on like the most common used movesets by people who actually make their own teams. And so you go from that, and you're against another person with a random set of Pokemon, and then so like over time, like your skill, it's skill that will come up, but like in each individual match, you could end up with a team where it's just like there's literally nothing I can do. Like this one person just has a Pokemon that has a type advantage and is faster than all of my other Pokemon, and there's just nothing I can do.
So why do you think that getting back into it is a mistake?
Because it eats up a lot of my time, and I get really salty anytime someone messages in chat. Like, I'm fine just playing it, but as soon as someone says something, then I just get super salty, and I need to stop doing
I don't
that.
even need that to get salty. That's why I've like kind of stopped playing competitive games, is just because, I get way too salty.
You know, it's a good way to quell that.
What?
Just don't play games with anybody ever.
So that's why I said I don't play competitive games anymore. I only play cooperative or I play single player.
Other than that, I've been playing Stardew Valley multiplayer with my friend Dana a lot. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's definitely gotten me back into the game and got me interested in the game in general a lot. So I'm glad that they did that. And then on and off, just I'm not going to talk about this. I've been playing Hearthstone too a little bit just for fun. It's interesting. I'm at the lower tier of it, so I don't have to worry about like incredible deck optimization to the point that you would have to do once you get, high enough where it's like, oh, there's 3 decks that you can use, and those are the ones that work in the metagame. That was at least the case last time I kind of looked into it, like, for more than a surface level. It may have changed since then. They may have put in updates that change things to make it better. I don't know. But at least now I just sort of, like, pick a bunch of cards that I like and just sort of go at it, and it's fine. And so that's what I've been doing. And I think with that, so thank you for listening to the GameCola Podcast. If you liked what you heard, please be sure to check out our actual internet website, GameCola.net, where you can find the articles where these podcasts are uploaded. Other articles, you can find those E3 articles, other articles about games and new releases and reviews and stuff like that. We also have our year-end awards show, which we do 6 months after the year end so that we can get a little extra time to play some of those later games. So look out for the awards posts as well as the awards stream, the Christmas in July Ho-Ho Holiday Livecast Extravaganza, etc. Stream that will be coming out, I think, later in July, probably like mid-July, depending on everyone's schedules. You can also check us out on our YouTube channel, GC.net, the letter G, the letter C, the word dot, the word net. You can find various playthroughs and video review series, like James and John have been doing their Danganronpa series that's going on right now. I think there's still episodes of Valhalla coming out. There were last time I checked.
Yeah.
Somebody's editing them and has all of the footage.
Well, I mean, I'm just surprised you guys stopped recording. You guys stopped recording that like a really long time ago.
Oh yeah, we started recording
that
like back in
November.
I didn't realize that you had recorded so many episodes, though.
Well,
There's a lot.
It's not a short game. Like Danganronpa, I'm telling you this, Danganronpa is probably going to be lasting until the end of this year.
John also has a new video that will be out by the time this podcast goes up, so you can check that out. I think it's about Jurassic Park, so look for that. Also, check out twitch.tv/GameCola for our live streams, and also the year-end awards stream that will be coming out later in July.
We'll probably stream more Stardew at some point.
That's definitely something that I want to do.
And social media.
Our social media, Anna.
Hey, social media. We're on Facebook and Twitter, GameCola. Come talk to us. Ask us questions, especially if you want to ask us questions for the podcast. It kind of helps sometimes if we decide that we want to do a podcast where we talk about questions.
There's also the hashtag GCRPGcast, which is for our Secret of Mana playthrough, which you can get.
Which the 3 of us are on.
Which all 3 of us are on, and it's run by the editor-in-chief of the website, Jetty, we're the Secret of Mana characters, and we're sort of playing through the story that he sort of set up for us in his own design of the RPG mechanics. So if you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or look for the podcast on the website, you can follow our adventures on that, and you can tweet about that podcast using the hashtag GCRPGcast. Also, if you'd rather not have your questions available on the internet for everyone to see, you could email them to us at podcast@gamecola.net, and we'll read out your questions and answer them. Speaking of which, Mama's a Boss, I know you have a question in the queue about the new robot person game, Detroit Become Human. And the guy, David Cage guy.
David Cage.
David, I know how to say David. I was a joke, though. So we'll get to that. Diana really wanted to answer it, but she's in Japan right now, I think.
By the time this comes out, she'll be in Japan, I
I
think.
think she left like today. So
Yeah, something like that.
So when she gets back, we'll hit on that because she really wanted to be part on the podcast where that's answered. So we have your question. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it. Thank you for writing. And if you want to write like MacBall, not MacBall. MacBall can also write. MacBall I talked to recently, and that's why they're on my mind. But if you want to be on the podcast, I'll just also say Daniel Dugovic, you're cool. You comment on the Facebook page a lot, and you listen
You are
to
on the
videos.
Facebook constantly.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Daniel
my dude.
Dugovic, you're cool. Let's just name GameCola superfans.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks to you and also anyone else who listens to the GameCola podcast. I might say your name if you tweet and Facebook and email us. But yeah, I think I said all of the things. There was a little bit of a that one was a little bit less of a straightforward housekeeping at the end there, but I think I got everything across. Thank you for listening to this edition of the GameCola Podcast. Have a lovely time of day wherever it is that you're listening to this, and we will see you next month. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
This is not like don't keep this in, but I just want to actually add, Joe.
Keep this in.
Cut out. Don't know, like because cut out the bit where I tell you where to get the actual version of Fruit of Grisaya. Well, I mean, because I'm not sure we should be linking to that.
Why?
Let me put it to you that I'm not sure we should. Well,
is it not an official source?
No, it's just very not safe for work.
Oh, the game is inappropriate.
Yes, the game. The reason about half of the content that they cut for the Steam version was because it's not safe for work. The other half is I don't know why they cut it, but half of it is just not safe for work. So just say you can get it on Steam.
I mean, I could also just include a little disclaimer that says, hey, by the way, this game is very not safe for work, so if you're going to look into it, just be advised that there is a lot of not safe for work, and that's what's been cut out.